Okey-dokey. Oh, it automatically is recording. Oh, okay. So let's see here. Oh, wow, here we go. Attendees, attendees. Look at all these people. Fantastic. I will wait to introduce you until 7 o'clock, so everybody's. Hey, everyone. I hope that everyone can hear me. I guess if you can't hear me, you're not going to know that I'm asking if you can hear me, but we're going to hope everyone can hear me. My name is Michelle Jerry. I'm a reference librarian at the Chelmsford Library here, and we are very pleased to welcome Olivia Companion on Zoom tonight to speak on Nourishing the Caregiver, Cultivating Calm in the Chaos for we caregivers. And I am going to turn the webinar directly over to Olivia. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Great, thank you. So I still see some people joining, so I know some people might be hopping on a couple minutes late. That's totally fine. I myself forgot it was at 7, thought it was at 6:30, logged in. I was like, where is everybody? So 7 o'clock, not 6:30. I am able to see the chat, but it is minimized for me for now. So I'll have some time at the end to go through the chat and the Q&A. So feel free to send in questions if you have questions about specific things. This is an interactive workshop. So if you do have pen and paper, or if you're able to go run and grab just one piece of paper and a pen or a napkin or, piece of cardboard, something to write on, and a pen. If you want to participate in the interactive portion, it's something that you can use tonight and then something that you can use in the coming months. So highly recommend if you really want to take advantage of the content of what we're going to talk about tonight. It's a really great way to kind of check in with yourself as a caregiver. So I specifically teach about dementia, but this workshop is for any type of caregiver. So if you're not a dementia caregiver, don't worry about it. It's not specific to dementia. It applies to any caregiving role, even if you're just caring for yourself, which sometimes is a job in itself. So welcome, everyone. I still see the numbers climbing. So if you have access to the chat or the Q&A, please feel free to use it as you want. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a Montessori dementia specialist. So you've probably heard about Montessori in the realm of kids in school. It's the same concepts, but translated into dementia care. So I help dementia caregivers do dementia better than what is traditionally taught. I'm a certified dementia practitioner and a certified Montessori dementia care professional, and I've been working in the field for over 12 years. And this is my friend Connie. She was the inspiration for me to actually start the business. I had worked in home care case management. I'd worked as an activities director in memory care. I had worked as a memory care unit director. I'd worked in adult foster care. I'd worked in dementia training for home health aides. And I, across all these jobs, realized that there's not enough time for professionals to slow down and really see where the gaps are in dementia care, in education and support for caregivers. So I started the business as a way to fill those gaps, and Connie was the inspiration to that. So why the name Purple Hydrangea? Because they're symbolic of gratefulness, friendship, and a desire for deeper understanding. And they were also her favorite flower. So that's how the name Purple Hydrangea came to be. So I know that the chat might move pretty quick now that we have a pretty decent number of people in here, but if you want to pop into the chat and just let me know where you're tuning in from, it's helpful for me to see. I saw one person in the Berkshires in Western Mass, but if you want to go into the chat and let me know where you're from, Acton, awesome. San Francisco, very cool. I know this is a group of libraries that put this together, so it's really cool to see where people are from. Newburyport, Medford, Keene, Norwood, Brooklyn. Okay, Medford, Newton, Wollaston, Haverhill, Clinton, Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, these are flying in. Cape Cod, Haverhill, Louisiana, New Mexico, Wakefield. Wow. So we have people all over the country. This is really cool. I was in Chelmsford for about 9 years and just recently moved to Winchendon. So I'm in North Central Mass. For those of you that are in that area, I know there was one Western Mass and an Acton. You guys are probably the closest to me. I lived in Haverhill for a little bit. Cincinnati. Wow. We got people all over. Very cool. Okay. So it would also be helpful if you throw into the chat a quick yes or a no. Are you a dementia caregiver? Yes, if you're a dementia caregiver. No, if you're a different type of caregiver. Yes, no, 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 yes. Both. No, yes. Okay, so pretty good mix of between. Awesome. Great. It's really helpful to know. Okay. So today's plan, like I said, interactive. We're going to talk about daily stress management techniques. We're going to talk about the de-stress alphabet, the 7 dimensions of wellness, and how to set a goal for yourself. So all of these things are going to be relevant to everybody. Just keep the person that you're caring for, keep them in the back of your mind as kind of the basis of where some of your stress may stem from, right? So our plate is going to be pretty full and our cup might be kind of empty. We got to balance those two things out so that you can be a more effective caregiver. But if your caregiving role is 80% of your time, you only have 20% left over for your job, your family, your friends, your other roles in your life. So keep that kind of in the back of your head, but I really want the forward focus to be where you can make improvements for yourself so that you can show up in all these other areas of your life as a more effective person. You can be a more effective friend, a more effective coworker, a more effective sister, a more effective neighbor, because you're not just a caregiver. Sometimes we get so soaked into the role of caregiver that all the other roles kind of fall by the wayside. So let's try to rebalance that tonight. That's our goal here. So what is stress? It's a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. That's what the World Health Organization says. Stress is a physical or emotional reaction that people experience as they encounter challenges in life. And stress is the physical or mental response to an external cause. So lots of different ways to look at stress. But what is kind of the common thread is that something from the outside is affecting us. Something, whether it's a situation, a person, a challenge, something is happening to us, and then our response is stress. So sometimes stress is good, sometimes stress is bad. These aren't all negative definitions. Some good stress could be a new job that you're anticipating or a move. Obviously moving can be some bad stress, but it can also be good stress. It can be excitement. It can be what gets you out of bed in the morning. So some things can be good stress, and then some things are bad stress. And the bad stress is what we need to lower. Okay. But why is this even important? You know, there are different reactions that people have to stressful situations, but the common denominator is that it can affect you. So whatever your stressor is, isn't holding on to that negative emotion. You're holding on to that. So stress, especially chronic, unresolved, or severe stress, can be a key contributor to cognitive decline. So while it's unavoidable, you can control your reaction to it and you can balance other things in your life so that it doesn't affect you as much. This is part of why I teach this class to all caregivers, not just dementia caregivers, because all of these stressors, they're going to affect everybody. But my special interest in this as a dementia background person is that I worry about my own brain health and I worry about your brain health. So, stress, whether you're caring for a child, a parent, a neighbor, a friend with whatever they're dealing with, that can start to affect your brain. And as we age, our brain starts to deteriorate. So, my goal in teaching this class and giving you this information is that you can protect your brain now by lowering your stress. So, later on, you have a lower risk for things like dementia. So, it would be great to hear in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being or maybe 0 to 10. 0, you got no stress at all. You're, you're thinking, why am I even in this class? 10 being, I'm the most stressed I've ever been in my life. Send in the chat if you're comfortable a number 0 to 10, just so you can kind of gauge where you are today. And think about today. The number changes all the time, right? Okay. We got a pretty good mix of numbers, and a lot of them are over a 5. So if you think about that, and there's a few 10s in there, if you're sitting here tonight thinking, I'm the most stressed I've ever been in my life, your brain is feeling that. Your brain is absorbing that. And you might start to see the cognitive effects happening, right? You might start to see your sleep being disrupted, your diet being disrupted, your focus, your language. If you start to forget some words and you're having a hard time finishing your sentence, you might start to see some of these effects because of the stress. So in the chat, I'd like to hear from you, yes or no. Have you noticed any of that? Have you noticed any changes that you contribute or attribute to your stress? Yes. Some yeses, some nos. Okay. Yeah. Yes, since COVID. Yeah. Yeah. And and as we get deeper into the caregiving, we probably notice that the stress kind of speeds up, right? Like it just kind of starts to build and it snowballs and it turns into this whole life of its own. So just know that you are not on your own. You're in good company. There are 68 people in this webinar right now, so you are not the only person that is feeling that stress right now. And we're all over the country. So it's not just a little pocket of people, it's everybody. So daily stress management. You've probably seen some of these before. Someone has probably told you, well, you need to just calm down. You just need to take a weekend for yourself, take some time away. Take some things off your plate. And sometimes that's helpful because sometimes we need that reminder, right? We need someone to say, you got to slow down a little bit. You got to do some stuff for yourself. You're doing too much for other people. But sometimes that's not really helpful because, yes, I would love to do all these things, but it's not just regular stress, it's caregiver stress. Being a caregiver means you're responsible for somebody else. So, in the chat, are you a local caregiver to the person that you're caring for, or are you a distance caregiver? Local caregiver, maybe you're doing it every day, you're living with the person, or you're in the same town, you're within, an hour or so, and you're kind of expected to do the appointments and the medication and all the things. If you're distance, that's a different level of stress because you're farther away. Maybe you're kind of navigating appointments or setting up transportation or trying to find local help. But it's two different types of stresses. But it looks like everybody. Some people said both, and then a lot of local. Okay, both. Yeah. So that's another layer, right? If you're saying both, you're caring for more than one person. Yeah. So that adds another snowball onto it. So, I'm not here to say, oh, well, just calm down. Just, take a weekend, go for a spa weekend away. That's not helpful. But these are some options that you can think of trying that might be something that helps lower your stress a little bit. Mindfulness. Mindfulness, I'm not saying you need to go away on a retreat and have this, epiphany moment. If you really just think of mindfulness as being mindful in the moment, okay? Being mindful. When you're eating, are you standing at the counter, shoving food in your mouth, and you're not really taking the time to enjoy the meal because you're doing five other things? Or you're on the phone trying to book an appointment while you're also loading the dishwasher. Your brain is split into multiple tasks at the same time because there's not enough time in the day. Or can you be mindful and turn off the screens, put the phone away, sit at the table, and just spend the time with the meal or with the person who's sitting across from you? Or you're going to go to a coffee shop and just have a cup of coffee with a friend or by yourself. Just be mindful of the moment. Someone said, I forgot to add sugar to a recipe this morning. Mm-hmm. Your brain is split in so many different directions that these little things start to fall off. And that's when you can see that it's really starting to affect you. Meditation, I hear from many caregivers, I can't shut my brain off. I can't turn it off. It never is quiet. Even when I'm sleeping, it's just the brain is always going. So there are some apps, there are some YouTube videos, there's different classes. You can try to see what works for you, and meditation might not work for you. You might find, I can make my brain quiet for 30 seconds. I can't do 5 minutes, I can't do an hour, but I can do 30 seconds of just focusing on my breath or focusing on, the nature out the window or whatever you're listening to. I really like progressive muscle relaxation. If you look that up on YouTube, it walks you through a head to toe kind of squeeze and release of all your muscles. That can be really meditative because some brains are so used to this high level of go stress that we can't make our brain quiet. So we need something active to calm down, if that makes sense. Prayer is another one, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, all of these different things you can try and see if it works for you. See if it's something that resonates with you because you might try one and say, yeah, no, tried it, not my thing. But maybe try a different one, see if that works. It might surprise you. Not overscheduling. Like, when was the last time you took a day to just do what you wanted? Probably a very long time. So I'm not saying, like take the spa day, but just don't overschedule yourself. Sometimes you look at the calendar and realize I have too many things going on this week, or I've, maybe 2 social things in a day is too much. Maybe it's maximum 1 thing a day. Using lists. I'd love to hear in the chat, are you a list person or no? Do you write stuff down or no? Keep a sticky note somewhere, pad of sticky notes, notebook in the car, notebook in the bag, notes everywhere, right? That's great that you use that. There's a lot of people in the chat saying, absolutely, yes. It's my lifeline. List, list, list. Yes. Notes everywhere. That's good because what you're doing is you're taking the information out of your brain and you're putting it down somewhere. We always hear about the mental load. You're not just packing the lunch for your kids to go to school. You're thinking in your head, okay, we have 4 slices of bread left, so I have to put it on the list. But before I go to the grocery store, I got to go get gas because I'm almost out of gas. So, you're keeping all this running tab in your head. But if you're writing it down, if you're putting pen to paper, not putting it in your phone, you're putting pen to paper, it lowers the mental load that's in your brain. Yes, the task still has to get done, but you don't have to hold it in there. Think about all the things you're holding in your brain. Get it on paper. Use a list. I also didn't see anybody chat in and say, no, I hate lists. So we're all on the same page. Unplug from technology. Have you ever taken a social media break? Have you ever just, maybe not delete the app off your phone. You don't have to necessarily do that. I know people get panicky, but just taking a break. I think it's an app called Rick that you can use. There's other, social media timers on your phone that you can unplug for a little bit. Avoid the multitasking, the eating and the dishes at the same time. You're kind of sitting at the table and eating with people, but you're also kind of still doing this task over here. One at a time. Let your brain focus on one thing at a time. If we're splitting our brain in too many different directions, the stress is going to go. Exercise. I saw some people write into the chat about different exercise options that they do. I'm not saying you have to go join a gym because now we have to go to the gym and sign up. We have to remember to pay the bill or the auto pay, and that's another expense. And if we're caring for someone, that's very expensive. And maybe I can't carve out the exercise time because I don't have somebody to watch my person and somebody has to be with them because if I'm not doing the caregiving, who's doing it, right? It's this never ending, I'm trying to lower my stress by exercising, but it's just adding more stress to my plate because I need to figure out a backup plan. Can you just go for a walk? Walking pads are getting really popular. Just get a walking pad and put it right in front of your TV. So while you're watching your shows, you can just walk on the walking pad. There's a YouTube channel and also an app called Walk at Home. The woman's name is Leslie Sansone, I think. I did that in COVID when my gym closed, and it felt a little corny at first to do this walking exercise in my living room, but it really helped. And her energy is really high and makes you feel really good. I think the app was like $5 a month or something. Highly recommend if that's something you want to try. Adequate quality sleep. We so fall off the wagon with this because it's the last thing on our list of things to think about. We're looking at blue light all day, unless you're really good and you have filters and the glasses on. So that's telling your brain to stay up. We're drinking coffee or other forms of caffeine or other stimulants later in the day. That's keeping our brain awake. We are doing things to keep us active. If you're doing anything else in your bedroom other than sleeping, that's triggering your brain to stay awake. If you're someone that just, reads a book by more of the red lights, blue light glasses, drinks a mug of sleepy time tea, does a whole evening routine, really winding down the hour before, and then getting into bed, total darkness, 65 degrees, no light. I applaud you because it's really hard to get a really good quality sleep routine in place. But that's really, really important. And if you're having trouble sleeping, I would highly suggest doing a sleep study because so many people have sleep apnea that don't know about it. And um, that's really going to affect your quality of night, which is then going to affect your quality of day. So, just some suggestions if you haven't tried any. All right, we're going to talk about the de-stress alphabet. And you're going to think that this is corny or you'll love it, but it is a little corny. But I do want to share this with you because this is going to give you a way to think about one thing that you can do to lower the stress. This is my robot vacuum that I bought during COVID. I was working from home and I have a cat and I have a husband and I had a lot of wood floor and a lot of carpet. And our apartment that we were in um, didn't have great, not that it wasn't great air quality, but it just didn't circulate enough. So there was cat hair, there was dust, there was, and I like to be barefoot. I was barefoot inside all the time, working from home, and I could feel the little gritty pieces on the floor. That was driving me bananas. And I was vacuuming constantly every day. And it started to become an extra thing on my plate, something else I had to do, something else I had to add to the list. And I realized that I wouldn't say it was stressing me, but it was just another thing on my plate. So you might have things like that too, right? Where you might not say, well, that stresses me out, but you might say, it's just something on my plate, something I have to do. So this is where the ABCD, the de-stress alphabet comes in. Awareness, boundary, communication, delegation. The awareness was, I don't want to be vacuuming my carpet and my hardwood every day. I'm aware that I want to walk around barefoot, that I'm vacuuming every day, and this is not sustainable. And the boundary was, I'm not going to do it every day. I'll do, the weekly regular house clean, but I don't want to do this daily. That's my boundary. The communication and the delegation come together. So my communication was with myself in this case, and I delegated the task. The communication was, what's the plan? What are we going to do? Now that I'm aware of what's bothering me, I've set my boundary. What am I going to do about it? So I bought myself a robot vacuum. I delegated the task off my plate. Now all I had to do was click the app on my phone and let it do the work for me. That's one thing that comes off my plate, one less thing I have to worry about. Does it feel a little corny? Yes. But can you find one little thing that's on your plate that you can delegate either to a person, a service, a robot? Can we move that task somewhere else? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a caregiving task. It could be any task that you have as your responsibility. So we're going to start to talk about our goals. So if you don't have your pen and paper, go run and grab one. This is where we're going to start to need it. So there are the dimensions of wellness, and then there is this list of your life inventory. They're very similar, but they're two different options that you can pick from for our interactive activity. So the 7 dimensions of wellness are intellectual, physical, social, spiritual, vocational, emotional, and environmental. If you take your life and think about it as a plate and you divide it up into 7, these are the 7 pieces of your life. These are all the different areas of your life. So if you read through those topics and you think, yeah, I can see how my life fits into those 7 categories. That might be the one that resonates with you. The other option is the taking inventory before we set goals. This was from a podcast that I listened to a few years ago, and they split it up, similar topics, but they split it a little differently. Physical, family and friends, significant other, spiritual, personal growth, joy and hobbies, mental, purpose and work, finances, and surroundings. So you might take the plate, split it up, and think, I can see how my life fits into these categories. So take a minute and think about which one sits better with you, which one feels like you relate to it more. Just take a minute to read through these, think about that. And if you're feeling the 7 dimensions of wellness, put a 1 in the chat. If you're feeling the list of inventory before goals, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, a good mix. Awesome. So what I'm going to have you do on your piece of paper, whichever one feels like it sits better with you, write down those topics just in a list. You don't need a ton of space. Just write them down in order. They'll be on their own line, just like those bullets are. So whichever one feels better for you, write those down in order. I'll give you a minute to do that. So if you like the second list, if that sounds like, you know what, I could split my life into these categories. These are all the different pieces to my life. Then on your piece of paper, you're just going to write down physical, family and friends, significant other, just write them all down. If the 7 dimensions of wellness feels more like, yeah, I could split the pieces of my life into these categories, you're going to write down those 7 bullets. So your list is either going to have 1 list or 2. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. Okay. We good? If you need another minute, type something into the chat. But otherwise, I'm going to go forward. Okay. All right. So now that we have our lists written down in front of us, we're going to think about a goal, a SMART goal. So you might have heard about SMART goals before. SMART, all stand for something. So when you're thinking about a goal, it needs to be specific, simple, sensible, and significant. It shouldn't be something that has no relevance to you. It shouldn't be something that's so broad that it doesn't really make sense. It needs to be simple enough that it's something you can do. Is it measurable, meaningful, motivating? A measurable goal usually has a number in it or a deadline. If you can measure it. If I say, I'm going to start going to the gym, that might be a great goal. But how can I measure that? Is it that I've gone to the gym once a week for 6 months? Is it that I started walking for 30 minutes twice a week? How can you measure that you've met your goal or not? Is it achievable and attainable? Is it something that's realistic for you? Is it something that you can actually do? If it's, I want to travel to Hawaii once a month for a great vacation, that's probably not that attainable for me. Could be a great goal, but is it achievable? Probably not really. Is it relevant, reasonable, and realistic? Relevance is really important here. You don't just want to think of a goal, something that I'm going to try down the road, I'll get to it. Is it relevant to you? Is it important to you? Is it realistic? And then is it time bound, time based, time limited, time sensitive? What's your end? Because if I say, well, I'm going to walk at least 1 mile once a week, I haven't given myself a deadline, because then I'm saying, I'll start next week. I'll start July 1st. I'll start on Monday, right? How many times have we done that? I'd love to see in the chat, yes or no. Have you ever done that? Maybe a New Year's resolution, maybe another goal. You've said, I'll start on the 1st. I'll start on Monday. I'll start next month. You give yourself this forward deadline that you just kind of keep pushing it out. And then maybe you actually start when you get there, but maybe you don't. Most of us have probably done that, right? So we are going to put a time limit on it. I would suggest 6 months. I think that's a good enough amount of time that you can see, did I actually achieve this? Is this something that is realistic for me? Or by that 6 month time, you'll see maybe this isn't the right goal for me. Maybe I need to change the measurement. Maybe I need to change the, maybe this one isn't that relevant to me and I thought it was going to be. So I would say your time frame, think about a 6 month time frame. So between now and the end of the year. Okay. Something that you could achieve between now and the end of the year. So what we're going to do is you are going to look at that piece of paper that you have with your categories all written down. So you've chosen the categories, right? You've chosen either the 7 dimensions of wellness or that other list. So we've already done that. We're going to choose the categories. What we're going to do is we're going to look at each one of those bullet points as an individual part of your life. And you're going to rate them from a 1 to a 10 on their own. So if physical is on there, the physical portion of your life, maybe that's your exercise, or maybe that's your stretching or keeping up with your doctor's appointments, whatever you think of when you think the physical part of your life. We're going to rate each category 1 to 10. 1 is, holy cow, this part of my life is a mess. 10 is, I have this, totally fine, I'm great at this. You're going to rate them each individually. So you don't have to say, well, this one's a 1 and this one's a 2 and this one's a 3. You could have multiple 4s. You could have multiple 7s. Yes, I will show the lists again. Then we're going to look at the worst parts and make a goal with action steps. So choose your categories. These were the 2 lists. So if you need to look at those again, the left column, column 1, is that 7 dimensions of wellness. Column 2 was the bullet point list. So you're choosing one list or the other. So some of the categories are similar because you're not choosing both columns, just one. Okay, we good? All right. So now we're going to choose the ratings. Here's going to be my example of categories, and I rated them 1 to a 10. I'm going to say, you know what, the physical part of my life, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like that's an 8 out of 10. Feeling pretty good. Family and friends, yeah, that's a 7 out of 10. You're going to go through and rate them for yourself. You can use the same number more than once. Rate them separate of each other. You're not saying that each one has to have its own number, okay? So you're going to rate them each 1 to 10. 1 being, this is really bad. I really need to work on this. 10 being, I don't need to worry about this. I'm totally fine in this category. So we're going to take a couple of minutes and you're going to put your own numbers next to your list. And remember that this is personal to you. What I think of as physical might be different than you. What I think of as finances might be different than you. I might say, do I have enough money in the bank to pay for my person to go to memory care? Or I might be thinking, do I have enough money to, I'm saving up for something? Or, you know, I need to work on being better about saving my paycheck, or the category, whatever it means to you. So don't worry so much about what it's supposed to be. 1 is really bad. 10 is really good. I'll give it 1 more minute. Okay. So now that each of our categories are rated, what we're going to do is we're going to look at where we scored the lowest. Okay. So for me, yes, spiritual can be other than religion. Spiritual can be anything that feels spiritual to you. Like, what is that? What is spiritual to you? Maybe spiritual is, I want to take a nature walk. Am I in nature enough? Maybe spiritual is just, does my soul feel happy? Like, what fills me with goodness in my heart? Spiritual can be anything that what you think of as spiritual. It does not need to be religion. So now we have our ratings. We're going to look at the bottom 3. Okay. Where did you score the lowest? You're going to circle those 3. Put a circle around the 3 categories that are the lowest. In this example, for me, it was spiritual, joy and hobbies, and surroundings. So circle your lowest 3. Take a minute and just, if you want to share in the chat, feel free. You don't have to. But the 3 lowest, what were the numbers that you put on your lowest? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but if you'd like to, what were our numbers? Okay, good. And then I'd also like to hear if you're looking at the highest 3, put a star next to those ones. Put a star next to your highest scoring categories. And then I'd like to hear in the chat, what were your highest 3 numbers? Tens. Good. Awesome. And we have multiple multiple tens, multiple physical. That's great. Awesome. So looking at those three that you put a star next to, your highest ones, think about in that category, what are you doing to keep that number so high? Something is going well there. For me, if I look at my list and I say purpose and work, that's a 9 because I love doing this. I love teaching caregivers. I love having a class of 68 people that have taken an hour out of their day to hear what I had to say about making their life 1% better. I love what I do in dementia work, and I give myself a 9 out of 10. So think about your top three. What are you doing in those categories that's giving your number, that's making your number so high? Because you're doing something right there, right? In those three that are the lowest, the three that we've circled, now I want you to pick which one do you want to make your goal about? Which one do we want to put a goal on to improve the number? In my example, I picked surroundings. That was a 4 out of 10. So whatever my goal is that I'm going to make, the SMART goal, I want to bump it up. I want to make it a 5 or a 6. I want it to be higher than a 4. So you pick out of your bottom three, which one, which category do you want your goal to be in? Mark that on your paper, however you want to mark that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is you're going to make actionable steps to revisit that goal. What are a few things that you can do to improve that number? Just a little bit. You don't have to make it a 10 out of 10, but how can we improve it just a little bit? So my category that I picked was surroundings. So what's an actionable step that I can do? And I can revisit it in 6 months and see how I did. I'm going to do one cleaning task daily. Maybe that's a load of laundry. Maybe that's just a 10-minute tidy. Maybe that is vacuuming, turning on the robot. Maybe it's, just wiping down the kitchen counters a little extra. One cleaning task a day. I can measure that, right? And then something else that I'm going to do, I'm going to give myself more natural light during the day. I work from home. I do 95% of my caregiver coaching is online and classes like this where I can teach people all over the country and all over the world. But a downside to that is that I'm on my computer a lot. I'm inside a lot. I'm at home a lot. So can I open the shades, open the curtains, open the windows? Can I get some more natural light? Can I schedule myself in a walk during the day to get some extra sunshine? Okay. And then, oh, someone said they love the 10-minute tidy. Every day to music. Yeah. Pick some good music, which ironically was my last actionable step was to play background music. Just that kind of makes my space feel better. And you could maybe put music on any category that you chose, right? Music is kind of the universal pick me up. So put down a couple of actions that you can make to boost that category. Think about you just want to boost it 1 point in 6 months. How can I boost it from a 4 to a 5 in the next 6 months? You don't have to put 3 action steps. You could just do 1 action step, maybe 2. Maybe you think of 5 different things you can do. So take a couple minutes and write down on your piece of paper whatever tasks you can do to boost that a little bit, because this is how we're going to reduce our stress. We're going to give ourselves more high numbers. We're going to give us those categories are going to feel better because we're going to take less off the plate. We're going to take stuff off the plate. Fill up your cup a little bit more. Take the time for yourself. And you can still do that while balancing caregiving. But how do we do that? How do we boost those numbers? How do we make our life less stressful? Maybe it's the meditation. Maybe it's the going for a walk. All those things we talked about, different ways to de-stress. Maybe one of those things fits into your action steps. It would be great to have all 10s eventually. That would be amazing. I don't know if that's realistic, but that would be amazing. If you get all 10s in all categories in the next 6 months or at some point, I would love an email from you and you tell me what the secret is because I have not reached that. I'd love to know. So once you put down some action steps on the topic of music being kind of the universal pick-me-up, I would love if you put in the chat one song or one artist or band that boosts your mood no matter what. I'd love to see as many answers as we can in the chat. Any artist, song, band that just makes you feel better. Or a genre, Earth, Wind, and Fire, yes. Motown, Elvis, ABBA, CCR, yeah, that's a good one. Oh, they're coming in fast. Duran Duran, 80s, lots of 80s. John Denver, awesome. Any more? Or any really good albums that you love? These are really good. Fleetwood Mac. My sister got married this weekend, and I think her first dance was Fleetwood Mac. Beach Boys, yeah. Born to Fly, that's a great song. Yes, there's a slant towards older bands. You know, I don't know if it's the age of the caregivers or if it's just that there was better music. I think it's better music. Yeah, Chris agrees, better music. Okay. So if you're looking for some good music, if you can see the chat, yeah, see, everybody thinks it was better music then. If you can see the chat, grab some songs from that. Throw a playlist together called the 10-Minute Tidy. Or if you're on Apple or Spotify, you can probably find a playlist, or Pandora, you can find a playlist. Whatever category you're looking for. If you're looking for, 80s rock or 90s pop or, current, religious or praise music, whatever you're kind of in the mood for, you can find a playlist for that for free and just throw it on and see if it boosts your mood a little bit. Don't write off the newer musicians. Yes, yes, there is good new music. You know what? I'm surprised nobody said. I'm surprised no one is a Taylor Swift person. I'm not, but I'm surprised nobody in the chat was a Taylor Swift. Funny. Okay. We have a really good mix of music in the chat. Different generation. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of sandwich caregivers or a lot of younger caregivers, especially now that as people are aging. Someone said yes, please. Yeah. As people are aging, younger generations are becoming caregivers or that sandwich caregiver, right? So you're caring for a generation above you and a generation below you. That sometimes that skews the music a little bit. Anybody else a sandwich in the chat? A couple people said sandwich. Yeah. Okay. So now we have our lowest category, a few action steps we can make, right? So what my challenge to you is in the next 6 months, a Cuban sandwich stuck in the panini press. I like that. So now that you have your action steps, I'm going to say that in the next 6 months, I want you to have boosted that number by 1. Can we do that? Can we all make a promise to try and boost that number by 1 point? Maybe more, but at least one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this paper, you're going to put it in a drawer somewhere, you're going to put it somewhere. You can hang it on your fridge if you want. You can look at it every day, or you can put it away and mark on your calendar. Let's see, today is June 4th. On December 4th, mark on your calendar, put an alarm on your phone, something, December 4th. Check your list and redo the numbers in your categories and just see how they change. Okay? Between now and then and every day after that, I want you to do one thing for yourself every day, no matter how small. It can be go for a walk. It can be play the music that I really want to listen to today. It could be, you know what, I'm going to get a coffee out instead of making a coffee at home. It's going to be, I'm actually going to take my lunch break today. Whatever that looks like for you, one thing for yourself every day, no matter how small, I promise your stress will come down by 1 point. This whole thing is about you can show up as a better caregiver. You can show up as a better friend, a better neighbor, a better family member, a better coworker. You can show up better in all these pieces of your life, all these different roles that you have. If you take care of yourself, but because we're caregivers, it's hard to get that time. So sometimes these doing things for yourself isn't the spa day, isn't the weekend away, isn't all these things, but it's, can I boost my surroundings a little bit? Can I boost my physical health a little bit? It's looking at these categories that you have on your list, improving those. That is going to lower our stress as a caregiver. So what I do want to offer to everybody is I do have a list of, it is more specific to Massachusetts, but there are national resources on it as well. A list of respite resources, different things that you can apply for or look into for free to get a break from caregiving or to get a scholarship to help pay for some help so that you can get a break. I have this list available for all caregivers. You will get, I believe you'll get an email after this with some follow-up from the library. I will include that handout in the email along with my email and my contact information so that if you're looking to apply for something or you have questions about one of the things, you can reach out to me. That will be available for free to everybody. And those are not dementia specific. If you are a dementia caregiver, these are all the different ways that I help you. And people come to me and say, you're crazy. Why do you do all these different things? But you guys are all caregivers. You guys understand, right? That it's not, maybe I don't have an hour to sit here and listen to this because I have my person who needs their medication or who needs to be toileted or who needs me to change the catheter or who needs me to do something or I'm doing an appointment or I'm in California right now and it's not 8 p.m. I do all these different platforms so that I can meet you where you are because caregivers are all over the place. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Purple Hydrangea Dementia Care. If you are a dementia caregiver, my podcast, Connected Companions, is free. I have a monthly newsletter, it comes out at the beginning of the month. I do one-on-one support sessions with caregivers. I do professional trainings, continuing education for professionals. So if that would be helpful for your workplace, I do that. I do also offer CEUs if you're a social worker in Massachusetts. You can come to a class, a workshop, a webinar like this. I do a lot of stuff online now because this is how we can reach everybody, right? And then if you're a dementia caregiver, I also have an online women's support group. But if you're a different type of caregiver and you're trying to find something like this, some sort of support, please feel free to reach out to me and I can help find the resource that you need because again, it just adds another thing to your plate. It adds something else for you to do, it adds to your mental load. And this is what I do. So if you're looking for, I'm not a dementia caregiver, I'm a this type of caregiver, and I would love a support group, or I'd love to find, an email that I can read or a podcast, please feel free to reach out to me. So this is all of my contact information. Feel free if you want to take a picture of this slide. You will be emailed. Like I said, that not the activity list, the resources list, along with my contact information, but feel free to screenshot this or take a picture or write it down. This is all of the places that you can find me and reach out to me. And we have 2 minutes left. I don't think I saw anything in the chat or the Q&A, but if anybody has questions about any of this, feel free to put something into the chat. And you can definitely reach me by email if it's something that you don't want public in the chat. This is recorded. The library did ask me about sending out the recording. Typically, my recordings aren't sent out, but I think what will probably happen, because there were so many people that had to hop off early, what will probably happen is that they could send the recording to anybody who registered. So I would check your email on that.
Olivia, it's Michelle back online.
Hi.
Hi. If you're okay with us sending out that link. Okay.
Yeah, I think a handful of people had to hop off during the interactive part, so I'm okay with it going out to anyone who registered. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So we can email you regarding other avenues. Yes. Yes, you can email me any questions. Totally fine. What do you do if your plans get derailed by your parent? Is in dementia care or about something else? That was from Sarah. I have more questions there. You're welcome. So many thank yous. Only got, okay, yeah, the recording. Yeah, we'll do the recording. Caring for a parent. So if you're caring for a parent and the other parent is kind of throwing the wrench into the plans, it really comes down to who's the legal decision maker. Has everybody's voice been heard? Was there a family meeting? There's a lot of different moving parts to that. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to chat more on that. You're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any other general questions? I know we don't have a ton of time, but okay. Thank you guys for spending this hour with me today, wherever you are in the world. It was really cool to hear where everybody's from and to have everybody so, participating so much in the chat. That was really helpful, and it really makes it engaging, and you realize that you're not alone, right? I was coaching a group of caregivers earlier today, and I said, it sounds corny, but we're all in the same storm. We're just all in different boats, right? Some of us are on a piece of driftwood, and some of us are on a cruise ship, and some of us are in a rowboat, and tomorrow we might be in a different kind of boat, but we're all in the same storm of caregiving. So whenever you think, I can't be the only one that feels like this. I can't be the only one that this is happening to. You're not. You're really, really not. And there are support groups, and there are other people, and there are other arms to wrap around you and say, you're not alone. And I hear you, and I'm validating what you're saying, because there's too much noise around, being really unhelpful. And that's not what we need as caregivers. So I hope that you find the support that you need. And if you're having trouble find it, please reach out to me so I can help you. All right. Well,
Okay,
thank you guys so
Olivia.
much. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your expertise.
Have a great night, everybody.
Bye-bye.